Hey guys, sorry I haven't been on for the past 3 weeks. I went on vacation. I just moved to a new place, so I was a little bit busy with that. But I'm back and I'm here to review chapters 98, 99, and 100. So I thought 98 was a really interesting chapter. This is a chapter where all the kids start their program at the new dorms. And I thought it was really interesting what Aizawa-san had to say to the 5 people who tried to go save Bakugo. I thought it was very interesting that he said that he would have them all expelled under normal circumstances. To me, it's an interesting parallel almost between Naruto and Boku no Hero, because in Naruto, one of the most famous lines that Kakashi said was, in the ninja world, you're scum, if you don't follow the rules, but you're even worse than scum if you abandon your friends, right? And in BNHA, it's almost like Aizawa was saying the opposite, like you have to follow the rules no matter what. And I think what we're going to see here is over the course of this manga, we're going to see that his philosophy will turn more into that of Kakashi's, because I think he'll end up realizing, like the classic, he's the teacher, but the students will teach him something. I think that trope is going to play itself out in the form of this philosophical change. Besides that, really powerful, good chapter. I thought the room showing off was probably one of the funniest gigs so far. It really gave a nice, deep insight into all the characters, especially like some of the lesser-known characters like Shoto, the wrestler guy, who bakes cake. I just thought it was funny overall, right? Besides that, in chapter 99, the whole Suyu thing, with her, coming clean and kind of talking about the fact that, is everything all right? Like, can we go back to being how we were before this whole disaster happened? I think that was important to say, and I'm glad that, the author had someone actually to say it out loud and bring it up, because, as the audience were sitting there, we're like, okay, this crazy thing has happened. All for one fought one for all. Like, All Might just lost his powers. A symbol of hope has been destroyed, and now we're just going to go back to school. Like, what's that? And so I think it was important for them to acknowledge the fact that this happened, the fact that some of them weren't brave enough to stand up to their own friends. That brings back an interesting line for me. If you guys ever watch Harry Potter, I think it's either the first or second movie. It's when like Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they're gonna go do some, crazy thing, and Neville Longbottom, like, stands up to them saying, I won't let you go, I don't want you guys to get hurt, and, they end up, like, using some sort of spell on Neville that, like, just freezes him for a bit, and at the end of the movie, when, Dumbledore's awarding all the houses their points, he says something along the lines of, it takes more bravery to stand up to your friends than it does to your enemies, and I think that that plays a really big, role here, because we saw that there were 12 students were absolutely, they had knowledge of the fact that these other 5 were going to go save Bakugo, but they didn't do anything about it. And I think internally they all kind of feel that guilt. And so I think that's like a nice point to bring up, because that'll be a nice development point that will happen at this school and in this arc, I think. Besides that, chapter 99 was also just a fun chapter. It kind of extended the whole rooms thing. Then chapter 100, I thought was the most recent chapter yesterday. I thought that was a pretty cool chapter too. It was really interesting to me for them to talk about this whole special moves thing, and how your special move has to be representative of your ability. And what I thought was interesting was, it doesn't have to be like your ultimate finisher move, your most powerful move. It has to be a move that really symbolizes what your ability is all about, what you're all about. And it really goes along the lines of, a hero just isn't someone who like fights people. A hero can be like a firefighter, someone who saves people. So anyone who like helps out in like crisis situations can be a hero, right? So for example, Ida, his whole thing was like speed burst. That could be useful in fighting, but it's more useful maybe like getting into a building really quickly and like pulling someone out of a burning building, saving them, or And so it has different applications, and I thought it was cool that they keep bringing that up, because traditionally heroes are always seen as like, oh, just beat the bad guy up, but I like how they're going along with the traditional definition of hero, where it's not just someone who like fights the bad guy, but also saves people. That's the most important thing about being a hero, right? That was really cool. And I also, the last thing I want to say is I really thought it was interesting, Deku's whole internal struggle about what does One for All mean for me, right? Because, this is a guy who just got his quirk like less than a year ago. He went from quirkless to having a quirk, and he got a quirk from the one person he looked up to the most in the entire world. So obviously he idolizes All Might. He looks up to him. He has his quirk. Obviously, he's going to try to become him, And I think it's really important that he becomes his own man. And that's how he'll kind of come into his own, be his own hero, become the protagonist, right? He won't just be like a copy. He'll become better. And I thought it was really great of All Might kind of telling him that, like, look, man, you're still trying to be what I was, and you gotta you gotta get over that. You gotta find what makes you you, and kind of go along that path, right? Which was really great because I think Deku still, to a degree, doesn't have the full belief in himself, and he doesn't believe in himself, right? As much, he's not very self-confident, and I think it's really important that All Might is the one who has to push him to kind of follow himself. Besides that, the past few chapters have been really good. Interesting stuff has happened. It's kind of been like a fun few chapters, but also, the plot has been progressing. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing the Villains Association. I really don't want this to end up becoming like a time skip sort of deal where you just don't see the villains for, the next few months or something, and meanwhile the heroes are all just training. I think because of the parallels between this, Shigaraki Tomura, he's like the new villain, you're next, and then you have Izuku Midoriya, who's the new similar piece, you're next. I think we want to see them grow at the same time, as opposed to just Deku getting a time skip and then, the villains not being shown at all. So yeah, hoping that we get to see more of the villains in the next few chapters, and yeah, looking forward to the next review.